Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment of our program brought to you by Safety Systems. The weather is warming up, and that means more time spent on the deck and patio. So make your deck and patio even better. Call Safety Systems about installing a first-class entertainment system outside your house, right there, deck and patio. They do great work. Need to get in touch with them this week. Safety Systems. I received an email from a viewer this week. It's similar to something I get from time to time. How is the team supposed to play well when you go on TV and constantly bash them and the coaches? That's the gist. Let's take a look at what the quote was, all right, or what the question was. As a player, how do they motivate themselves when the coach says they're not capable of playing at a level to compete in the SEC? When they hear from the media they probably will win 5 games, how do they push themselves to set a higher goal? They need to hear some positives. Okay, first of all, in terms of the media, we're not here to give them the positives. Not here just to give them the negatives either. We're here just to report what we think and what we've seen, our opinion. That's what we do. I think on this show we're critical, but we also, I don't remember anybody here being really especially nasty toward a player. I don't remember anybody saying this kid can't play. So we don't go that far. But to his point, coaches that are positive, negative, do they need that positive reinforcement? Guys, I would just point to the UT basketball team this past year. Rick Barnes. Mm-hmm. Rick Barnes didn't sugarcoat anything in his press conferences. That was a team that was told you're going to finish 13th. They rose to the occasion. Do you think some teams react better to tough coaches than positive coaches? Some react better to positive love than tough coaches? Where are you on this? Is there a set way to do it?
No. Easy answer. No, there's not a set way to do it. And the really good coaches do it player to player. They know that this guy needs the tough love. They know that this guy, tell him he stinks and he'll get better. This guy, hey, man, you're really getting better and doing everything. So I think the best coaches know their players and how to coach from player to player, but I do not think there's one set way to do it.
Yeah, I agree completely with Bob. I think that every player is different in that regard. You can collectively say some things. Nick Saban doesn't seem to say a whole lot positive publicly about his teams. I think there's also some motivation in telling people you can't do this. Grant Williams was told you can't play in the SEC or at the Tennessee level. Baker Mayfield was a walk-on at 2 places. He was told he wasn't good enough. So, yeah, I think those people are motivated a lot when they're told they can't do something. But I'm with Bob on this. I think a lot of it is how it's individual. You may say something to the media and then come back and deal with your players in a different way. I get that. But I do think that individuals, it's tough to the really good coaches know which buttons to push.
And win. I think the guys probably when they deserve it are getting some positive too. Philip Fulmer always said, you got to know when to get in their face and you got to know when to hug their neck. So I feel like they're probably getting some of it, some of both.
Yeah, and this staff, sorry, John, has been very hard on these players so far on the practice field with what we've been able to see. But with their individual position groups, when guys have done something right, when they perform well in practice, they've been told that as well. So they get that at times as well. But a coach is going to be who he is, I think, most often. But I agree with everybody that a coach also recognizes what a player needs.
And there are examples of coaches who do it one way and do well. I mean, Philip Fulmer may have gotten in their face away from the microphones, but he was a neck hugger in terms of outwardly. He was usually pretty positive about his team. There's also that difference, what you do in public and what you do in private. But he was a positive guy, had great success. A guy like Nick Saban, I think his players respect him, but not an easy guy to play for. He's critical. He's rough on them. He's had great success. I also think it depends a little bit on the team, not just obviously individuals, but a guy like Pete Carroll. That is a positive, upbeat guy. Didn't work with the Jets. It didn't work with the Patriots. Worked with the Seahawks. Worked great at Southern Cal. So, I don't think there's any one set way to do it. And folks who look at an honest coach as being too blunt, you got to know what's going on behind the scenes because all those guys talk about how Rick Barnes loves them. And to me, he goes too far at times in the press conferences being with his honesty. I'm like, I don't know that I'd be that rough on him. But they don't mind it because he's loving them off camera.
He cares.
Yeah.
He cares about it.
Yeah, I don't know what Pruitt is yet. I don't know. I know he's as blunt as Barnes. Behind closed doors, does he show the love that Barnes does, the care that Barnes does? We don't know yet.
You know, and I think lots of times when coaches are really negative towards guys, it's guys that they think are leaving a lot on the table. You know, I'm going to push you and push you and push you because you can be better. I mean, there's guys probably over at UT that the coaches showed a lot of love. They're as good as they're going to get. They may not be capable of playing in the SEC, but if you're somebody, and a couple of players on this team come to mind, that they think there's more there, yeah, there are going to be more negative to you because it's like, okay, you're giving us 75%, give us 100 and you help us win football games.
I remember Bear Bryant saying that he's hardest on his best players because he's trying to get the maximum out of his most talented players, and that's where he would drive those guys with most of his criticism.
You can go back to the Joe Namath getting suspended for drinking a beer at a party. I mean, if it's true that that was the only infraction. But you look at a guy, Bill Belichick, he's had tremendous success by being a fearmonger. I mean, it's you talk to former Patriots, and they talk about the fact that he likes to keep his guys uncomfortable. Well, that's worked well for him. But this offseason, you've heard players come out and criticize it because they lost a big game due to him, in their view. So people are saying, we don't like this. But it works for him. I also don't, that's another thing. You got to be true to yourself.
Yeah.
I don't think you can be, if you're a nice guy, it's hard to pretend that you're a tough as nails guy, and vice versa.
Players can tell if you're pretending.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. When we come back, usually the mean tweets are going from Knoxville elsewhere. This week they were coming towards Knoxville, and some UT fans got involved with it at the end, including a VFL. We'll talk about that. Mean tweets, our anti-social segment, is next.